If you could fix one thing about the Philippines, what would it be?
Top of my head, our president's mouth.
By a show of hands, who here supports the current administration? What is one word to describe President Duterte?
Sly.
Rough.
A failure.
I think I'd go with strategic.
Sick.
Realistic.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I actually, one of the 16 million actually voted for him. He's far from a perfect president, but he gets the job done. One thing that irks me the most, that's why I don't normally share my political posts or whatever, things that are related to politics on my Facebook wall, is I respect everyone's wall. It's just that I find it weird that I'm losing a lot of friends or friends losing other friends just because of a political stand. Well, I think that doesn't make sense for me to lose friends because of political issues or whatnot. The president may have done wrong, but we also have to point out and give credit where credit is due, especially the fact that the previous administration's problems were carried over to the president, and he has to basically shoulder the burden as well.
I agree with that statement. Like, he's done some quote-unquote good things. Like, what I can particularly cite, recently he passed the Universal Healthcare Act. As a college student, I'm also feeling the effects of the Universal Free Tertiary Education Act. But we also have to be critical of, like, what these acts entail. Like, the Universal Healthcare Act isn't actually universal. It's not accessible to those in the underprivileged sector. The Free Tertiary Education Act, yes, we appreciate it. As a college student, I really appreciate it because I'm not paying anything. The thing with that is, it's just for the tertiary level. Every good thing that Duterte does almost has a caveat to it, and it's unfortunate that it's that way, but it is the way it is, and that's why I personally don't support Duterte, like, at all.
It's not independent of each other. You can be critical, you could also acknowledge what he has done right. But I guess why I feel, or I said that he's a failure, because I cannot give more moral weight to him extending my passport validity, which I just did earlier today, than the 20,000 dead. Right?
Okay, by a show of hands, who here is in support of same-sex marriage?
Can I just stand?
Hell yeah!
Same-sex marriage and not even same-sex civil union, which is what the president supports.
I personally, I don't care what you guys call it. You want to call it marriage? You want to call it civil union? You want to call it some other thing? Just give me my equal rights, because I am human as well. What the Philippines now is, where we're at, we're tolerated, but there's a difference between being tolerated and being accepted. Acceptance means I get to have the same rights as you do.
Okay, by a show of hands, who is in favor of the legalization of medical marijuana?
I think it raised my hand.
Okay, or one sole anti? Can you talk about that?
Actually, I'm more worried po dun sa yung effect niya sa paglaon. Yung pagtagal na pwedeng ito na lang ito na yung magiging excuse.
So an abuse of
people.
that.
So
The two biggest drugs that people abuse and probably contribute to the most deaths are two legal ones,
Yes.
which is
Cigarettes and alcohol. Yes.
I would much rather face a medicinal marijuana abuser than an alcohol abuser.
Yes.
Because one's gonna hug me and one's gonna try to glass me in the face.
Yes.
You know?
Right, yeah.
I just don't think the Philippines is ready yet for that.
But medicinal marijuana doesn't contain THC, it's CBD.
Yeah,
It's
that's
CBD.
So you don't get stoned at all.
Okay, side education later. You speak to this guy who knows what he's talking about.
That's my point.
By a show of hands, who believes the current drug war is working? Okay, so we're all in agreement that this drug war is not effective.
Okay, 2 points. First of all, Duterte's anti-drug campaign is an anti-poor campaign. For the last 3 years, more than 20,000 Filipinos killed. But I guess no one, drug lord, ang nahuli at nakulong. If we check the data, we can see it in the everyday news. The victims of this EJK Oplan Tokhang ay yung mga nasa laylayan, communities, outskirts of the city. Pero nagkaroon ba ng raid or may nami bang nahuli? May napatay ba sa BGC? Sa Makati? Sa mga exclusive village? I think wala. Now, we must see the drug problem or the addict as a health problem.
Yes.
But
Hindi
can we
siya nag-work.
also say, I mean, we're talking
Sure.
numbers, you know, like,
Yeah.
but what can we also say about the number of people who surrender?
I think there's a difference between surrendering because you're willing to ask for help and surrendering out of fear.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
what the administration might have inculcated is that people surrender because they don't want to get shot. I think when you talk about the drug war, we keep repeating that number 20,000, but we forget that the 20,000 have children. Children who have heard their fathers getting shot outside their house. There are studies already showing that yung desire nila when growing up is vengeance.
Mm.
And hindi yun parang hindi siya nasasama sa usapin ng drug war. Ang bigat isipin na ito yung when wala na si Duterte as president, this is a problem we'll still have to deal with.
Yung problema mga po kasi, babalik tayo dun sa pagka-anti-poor nito. So yun nga, parang kadugtong na rin ito yung problema rin sa hostage, dun sa mismong proseso kung paano nga ba i-deliver yun. So yun, parang palagi kasi siyang kumikiling dun sa kung sino nga ba yung nasa pwesto, nasa kapangyarihan.
Just to sort of shed light as well, not everything is on him. Sometimes it's also corruption. Sometimes it's also just plain greed. And to just pin it all on one person, one singular person, I guess the only word I can think of is lazy. But I understand why it's so easy to just point, because he's there. That's him. That's our president. You know?
Tim?
Yeah.
But he's the guy that's giving the orders.
I think that's why the solutions have to be simultaneous.
What do we think of senatorial candidates who have been accused in the past or have been tried for graft and corruption and plunder, who are now ranking highly in senatorial surveys?
I feel like the biggest problem with Philippine politics as a system is that it primes the government to be corrupt. How does my favorite boxer make his way to the Senate? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, how is it possible that Mr. Bong Revilla, who would not be able to qualify for any kind of corporate job, finds his way
As a
leading the
senator.
senatorial race, right?
Like it's
Like-
very personality
Or a new
politics.
time.
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
things.
Personality politics, and I'd like to think na at one point the correction should be made even before these guys enter the political arena, because when they enter the political arena, it's a pageantry.
Right.
What I need is something who has a point of view, whose
can
ideas I
Right.
agree to.
Right.
I think for me, I stick to looking for character, competence, and
There you go.
chemistry. I guess yes, a track record would help. You know, taking it, your education helps. The real education, not the fake one.
Anything make education.
Let's take
Amy
into consideration
Marcos,
for
Amy
one,
Marcos.
Nancy B9. So I think there were a lot of memes that going around. It's like, okay, she's just basically worked for her dad before and stuff like that. So somehow people were looking down on her. But let's admit the fact that somehow there are laws or there are things that she was able to contribute or do something, and still people make fun of it.
We have candidates like Jokno, Gutok, and among others that we feel they rally the leader we want. And I guess the challenge for us, especially the youth, is to go out, social media, to campaign,
Yeah.
to fight, ano ba yung Pilipinas na gusto natin?
And I disagree that there's a youth vote. Sorry, I feel like it's untrue na may youth vote kasi we have to acknowledge
So we're not
sa
even
sociology
registered.
of the youth na parang ang fragmented natin across regions, across class. I just came from Mindanao a few days ago. Hindi kilala yung Ocho Diretso. Hindi kilala si Jokno ng youth. So I feel like to insist and celebrate a youth vote at this point without nuancing na ang dami pa rin napag-iwanan, no? We're still repeating that same pattern of exclusions in the past. Ang hirap gumalaw, no? Nahirapan ako gumalaw when we're holding on to an image of a youth vote that is so lacking in substance pa rin.
Okay. Do you believe the church has too much influence on the state?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
So do we then support President Duterte speaking out against the church?
I don't like the church meddling too much with the state. Okay, but I guess I would be in disagreement that the president is doing this to the church, because he's doing this. I feel not to remove that kind of things that are harmful, but He's just attacking them like anyone that he will want to attack.
I think for the church, especially the Catholic one, which is where I come from, responding to injustices of the government is constitutive of the faith.
Right.
So parang may ganong responsibilidad na nakikita yung simbahan sa sarili niya that I feel has instigated the attacks of the government to disenfranchise people, to kill priests. In Nueva Ecija, I think tatlo na ata, for example. Dahil, not because they are the church, but because they are speaking out against it.
Okay, let's go around the room. If you could fix one thing about the Philippines, what would it be?
Oh God.
Wait, ang dami.
One.
Steph.
Education.
Top of my head, our president's mouth.
Government.
Our attitude towards human rights.
Duterte.
Education as well.
What are you most proud of about being Filipino?
Laging may pag-asa.
I think it's that our endless optimism.
It's such a, you know, parang media buzzword siya. And medyo tinira na siya like many times because sometimes when we say Filipinos are resilient, we say na parang lagi nilang resilient, we're forced to be resilient because the things that are supposed to work for us aren't working, don't work for us. So we're forced to be resilient. But even so, maybe when things are gonna work for us and we're staring at the end of the world, Filipinos are going to be resilient. So that's what I'm most proud of.